friends, this is Angela with Word and Home. I'm back again today to try a foil relief project. Now I'm using the Dollar Tree red Sleigh, and then I'm using some tulip puffy fabric paint and some heavy duty foil. Now the first thing I'm doing is I'm taking my puffy paint and I'm making some swirls and some dots, and I'm putting those on both sides of my surface, which is that Dollar Tree red Sleigh. So I let my puffy paint dry well, guys, about 24 hours, and it's set up nicely. And now I'm ready to add some glue. I'm just using craft glue here. I'm spreading it on the whole surface, and then I'm using a paintbrush to brush it in, making sure to get the center of those little swirls and all the edges. I'm doing that on both sides. And then I'm going to just wrap it in that heavy duty foil. Now here I'm going to kind of fold it over the edges and then cut away some of that excess foil, and then just tuck those edges down. And then I use my glue to secure those two later. Now the first thing I'm doing here is, the important step is I'm just using my hand and I'm pressing that foil down into all of those swirls that I created with that puffy paint, and I'm making sure to focus on the center of those swirls too, and you can see it already has a pretty cool effect, I think. Now I did the same thing on the other side, just using that paintbrush to brush in all that craft paint, and then just taking another piece of foil and following that same step where I just wrap it and then cut off the excess and fold those sides down, and then again press down into the swirls. Here you can see that I'm just taking care of those edges on the ends and just using some glue to secure all that extra foil there. Now I'm using some Waverly chalk paint and ink. I'm using the paintbrush and brushing that on, and then just a paper towel to wipe off the excess. You guys, I'm already loving the results that I'm seeing here. I didn't want full coverage, so again, I'm working that black paint in and then trying to just wipe off the excess paint. And just make sure that when you paint that you get that top edge of the sleigh too, because that will really look nice later when you're finished with your project. This foil is pretty heavy duty, so I didn't really have a problem with tearing, but just be gentle when you're trying to wipe it down, that you don't tear your foil. Now I did do the same. I painted both ends, although they didn't have any swirls on them. I did paint both ends of my foil to give it that kind of that dark antique look as well. Now here I have just a damp paper towel, and I'm wiping that excess paint off of the top of my swirls. Now I want to add some feet and some runners to the bottom. I'm using the finial caps from Walmart, and I'm using 4 of those, and I'm staining those here, and then I had just 2 pieces of a 1x4 that Mr. Word and Home had cut down, and those were just excess, so that's what I decided to use for the runners. But you could use paint sticks for the runners too if you don't have scrap wood like I do. I'm just hot gluing my feet on here, and then at this point when I get all my feet hot glued on, I decided I did not like the stain so much. I didn't like the brown, so I decided that I wanted to paint it. So I'm just using that same Waverly ink color, and I'm just painting my feet, and then I painted my little scrap wood too. You could definitely use the stained if you like that better. I just thought the black worked better for this project. So I'm setting it on my runners now, and I'm just using hot glue to secure it, the little feet to my runners. Now I had one last step to finish up the runners here. I just took another extra piece, painted it, and now I'm going to hot glue it between those little runners because it will give me some stability and keep those runners in place and keep them from moving around. Okay, and that's it for the sleigh. I left the inside of my sleigh red because you won't really be able to see it, but you could paint the inside of that black too if you wanted to. I'm using 2 foam blocks that I put in here, and then I'm using some greenery. This came from Target, the dollar spot, and then this particular pick came from Walmart, and it was 98 cents. I'm going to combine all of this greenery, and I'm just going to start tucking it in to the inside of my sleigh and putting it into the foam blocks. And you could add anything that you wanted to here. You could add Santas, you could add candles. There's just so many different ways that you could make this little project your own. Now, I did have a tree from Hobby Lobby that I'm going to tuck in the center of this after I get all the greenery in here. But it's a very simple project, but I think it will add a lot to your table or just wherever you decide to use it and display it for Christmas. So that I hope that you enjoyed, and for more ideas like this one, please visit wordandhome.com.